Carla.
Get started then? Everybody ready? All right, the meeting of the Central Falls School Board will come to order. Time is 5:35. Will the clerk please call roll?
Certainly. Sandra Golan. Zuhana Medina. Thomas Evans. Dorian Reed.
Present.
Chris Lara. Jordana Ruggieri.
Present.
Carla Hernandez.
Present.
Erica
All right,
Calderon.
so is there anyone here who's
Mr.
just
Chair,
looking
we
at
have
payment?
one.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Great.
Okay, so to do a
Please
payment,
rise and join me.
I'm gonna tell you what's going
Pledge of allegiance, please.
on. We're gonna go and grab a money order right here from the pharmacy. And then if you have the ticket.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the ticket number.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So not only that, you
The
have.
next item on the agenda is approval of records. The board will have this item. Approval of meeting minutes for the Central Falls School Board meeting on May 12th,
So you
2026.
don't have it at all. Is it, yeah, is it
Have everybody had a chance to look at the
You want to put this in your
minutes?
phone?
Are there any corrections? So if I go to the one where I'm good?
Yeah, you're good. All right, everything ready?
Any corrections? No?
So you're gonna make the money order out to Central Falls?
We have a motion to
All right,
approve
and then
and
you're
a
gonna
second.
put the number on that money order. which is the right? The money order has to be
Are
$40.
there,
40 even?
Yep, 40 even.
all in favor?
And then the ticket number is 26
Motion carries.
500 721. Alright.
26001
Next item on the agenda is new business.
Make it up to
The second reading of the Central Falls School Board bylaws.
Just make sure you go check that off right now.
As we all know, we went
Alright, so
through
let's take a
this
line. Whoever was here
during the
first.
last meeting. Dr.
Okay.
Freeman's going
Are you
to
looking at the payment?
the bylaws and just kind of highlight some of any
Oh, you
edits
look at
that were made before we consider any motions.
You may recall on the May 12th retreat, we kind of broke
Yeah, you
the
did.
bylaws
Perfect.
into
So
sections.
what's gonna happen now is
Well,
that
we
you
will
go in front of the judge.
And then we came back and collected
Right,
feedback.
from there. we're
So
gonna
this
do
is,
this, and then you're gonna get $60 money
listing
order.
out a whole feedback that we heard and sent out.
And that's gonna be it, $60 is basically what they charge you to drive.
Specifically, we want to add this language that the school board meetings would rotate between the district schools each month
So go ahead, have a
with
seat.
a comment
This is
period
not-
for members of that school community to give feedback to the board, and also present anything that they wanted to, so we're calling that an opening ceremony, in the new bylaws. To include public comment at every meeting, from at least one student or parent teacher, so that also would fall under this opening ceremony. As one note on that, we can't, as a board, you can't force anyone to testify in public comment, so that's where it would be
Jennifer?
an opening ceremony. It's more like an invitation. But that's the big sort of meeting. To schedule board meetings for the.
Oh, it's a mass license? Do you have
a
a driving record from that?
But also tonight you have before you.
Are you looking to pay?
calendar
Are you looking
dates
to
for
pay?
that reflects that.
You also have.
You wanted to amend Article 3, Section 4 to conduct the meetings and have planned and published agendas in the major languages of the community. So that's been added. Article 9, in under
Okay, so what happens
superintendent,
now is
you all wanted to add language requiring at least quarterly financial report with detailed budget and narrative, with a sample to be provided, with the expectation that you wanted, as well as student data report, in-depth analysis of achievement gaps.
So the $60 is not us,
to address
that's
challenges
the
with
fee. That's
additional
the storage
reporting
fee.
and reports requested, so that language has been added.
Okay.
You all wanted to change language where it had listed just the chair, to replace that in many places with the executive committee, just to
How long have you had your license for?
align with your
Over 3 years?
democratic values as a group. So we did that. And you all preferred the more detailed order of business, which you'll see in the updated bylaws. That just breaks out the agenda even more specifically for the categories, and I think it's in line with your kind of transparency, accountability values. You wanted both the right to be heard and the community comment, and so if you guys recall, the distinction there is community comment is like our traditional public comment meeting where people can comment on any issue broadly, and it's absolutely the right to be heard is a very specific piece of the agenda that allows people to speak on a particular.
Tiene que ser hoy, ¿ok?
So if they feel like they're about to vote on a new policy and they want to give a comment just specifically to give information about that prior to a vote, that's the right to be heard.
Con un ciclo no se puede usar los driving.
And you wanted more clarification on your ability to respond
Entonces lo puedo poner
to
un
public
poco lo puedo
comment.
hacer.
And
Pero si lo paga aquí,
also, there was a discussion about
Me van a cobrar
the
35
superintendent report is not just.
tiene que ser hoy.
So,
Hoy mismo.
you'll see some updated language in
Sí,
there.
entonces lo que usted tiene que hacer es comprar un monitor de los
And
40,
finally, you chose the
va a la policía, nos lo deja con este
Democratic
papelito,
instead of
y cuando
Robert's.
yo regrese, si eso está ahí, estamos bien.
And we're gonna
Si lo
spend
paga
some
aquí,
of
va a
it
record
on
decide.
At any rate, the
Pero no sé
bylaws
si
that you
esto-
have in front, actually, the bylaws in your packet have been updated, are just, it was like
No van en
breaking
récord,
news
pero no sé
to
si
the
ya
solicitor who added in the edits so
Entonces compro un monitor de
Maybe I was supposed to
$40,
just
vaya a la
keep it
policía en este
in
momento y me
review.
lo deja con el monitor. Ok,
the
gracias.
bylaws, before you consider any possible action you want to take.
Oh, yeah, it is faded, okay, what's the last name? All right, let's see what. So do you have good driving record? Oh, you have, oh, okay, that's what she uses. Okay. Can I call you, sir? So you can take the, okay, the charge, the driving record.
Question, I don't know.
Okay, so no puedo usar el récord con este
Yes, I'm like looking at correspondence and individual.
pero si duro, eso no afecta la licencia.
Or sometimes people send
Tiene que pagar.
written testimony if they can't
No va a
be
poner
affidavit.
un cinturón, no se puede usar el récord porque eso no es algo manejable. eso es algo-
Usually they don't read that written testimony out loud. Like if you submitted it, is that, are you not able to do that, or could we add that to the
Porque
bylaws?
si no, le tenemos que cobrar $35.
That, like if someone can't come to one of our board meetings and like we get an email that says
Pero go to the
from
police station y donde te mandan
Dorian, that this is my public testimony, I'm unable to attend your meeting, and he writes something.
o si no le cobran 35.
At the meetings that I've been to from the board, they will say, so-and-so provided written testimony, it's in your packets.
The judge, the.
So we've all seen it, or we can send it to the boards, we've all seen it, but is there a way that that written testimony can be read publicly?
So remember last time you were at.
Okay, and, but you just.
You left a note, right? Yeah. I think there might be a law
¿Qué se hace?
that,
Pagarlo, money order.
or someone else's, yes. I believe that's what they stated, that's why yours.
But if it said, but I thought you could write something like by proxy.
¿Cuánto años ha tenido su
I mean, I
licencia?
guess we can always ask. Yes, please.
So, for example, there was a meeting yesterday, the councilman pro tem couldn't attend, but he sent someone to by proxy, this person could speak on his behalf, but if it's in writing, you have to be careful. Because if you have 25 people sending in testimony over something that people are really upset about, are you gonna have time to read those? Like, you just have to be careful with the language.
A usted le
You
quitaron
can
el
ask
sticker
Matt,
en
but I
un
also,
WhatsApp
I mean, when I was on the council,
por usar el
I
récord.
could read them, so it was up to the council president. So as a board chair, I think it's up to your discretion.
Pero no usó su
But you
récord.
have to be careful with what you put in here, because if you have way too many, then if you put it in here, you're gonna have to.
Oh,
Could it be up
Entonces
to
lo
the
que vamos a
board
hacer es que
for,
tienes que hacer,
like,
si quieres
executive
hacer
board
el
discretion?
podrás hacer cargo de eso.
Written
Y
testimony made
pensar que
available?
nosotros tenemos
I mean, I think you have to be careful with, or maybe put a limit, or, because if you start picking and choosing which one you're gonna read and not,
24 horas al día la policía puede venir. Sí.
maybe like say, we'll read the first
Entonces, si
five.
desea, con un asiento y ya la damos.
If there's more than X, if there's more than 5, will we only do the first 5 or something?
I think that it will eventually have conflict, and people will say, oh, they're picking and choosing, or.
I could see what you're trying to say. Like, it could also be a cute thing, right? You get letters from students and you wanna read them. I can check with the.
I don't know, like a way to word it so we're not pigeonholed, like if you said if there is 30, that we have to read all 30, but a way that if somebody does provide it, and we think that whatever this, should, like I feel like if you're taking the time to write something, if you can't be there, like I do feel as though like those words are important for people to hear and meaningful.
Could be another, I mean, I'll check with Matt, but I think
She's gonna ask you guys questions.
another idea would be copies of the meeting, like
Okay,
copies
whoever
of
has
the
emailed it to
testimony,
you.
or have a binder of them and people can put through them, something, but one other thought is just like making sure that we want people to come to the meetings too, so, yeah. Let me check on that, yeah. Are there other, but I meant to say when I was giving kind of an overview too, that there was a subcommittee meeting between Jordana, Carla, and Erica, who, was very sick this morning, and that's why she's not here today, so she, but I just want to acknowledge that you guys did have a meeting, and this also reflects the feedback that. But yeah, I don't know if there's other questions or comments about this particular draft.
But you still have to just wait for her to tell her that you go to me, like, to me. Let's see.
One other question, what if everybody has to be included in the bylaws or the policy?
Se hace algo, plan de pago, ver el
To
cheque.
provide like the,
Entonces lo
we
que
just
te llama.
explained what the right to be heard was, and how do we make
¿Cuántos años ha tenido su licencia?
the community know what that part means?
Yeah.
Would there, I don't know how we would get that information out to families to,
Yeah, I have,
that
I
they
definitely
know.
have to talk about
Solamente
that.
tiene que tener la licencia.
One thing I think you're probably gonna have to do is
Entonces, si desea, lo podemos poner
is
en
define those pieces of meaning in the meeting each time for like a while, so that people start to learn it, cause some people learn it from something we send out in writing, and other people are gonna learn it experientially by doing it.
Ese es su nombre, ¿verdad?
That's a right to be heard, and then the more you use it, I think the more people will be like, especially with a brand new thing, it's not typical,
I would say it at every single meeting when I was a council president.
right?
You have I would call up the person and tell them, say your name and you have 5 minutes, or however
Sí,
many.
no sabía, se me parece como me puede llamar por favor.
So they've never had, I was like, the right to be heard, we've never had that at a board of trustees, that people could speak on something like on the, that was being voted on the agenda or after, right?
Entonces vas a la policía.
There's
y
probably
vas
a
como
teaching
no,
this
no,
first, right? Like a public, sort of public teaching
People
thing.
know that that's.
Yeah, there could even be a workshop that we run that's like, okay, meet the new board and here's some new things about their bylaws, and there's a bunch of new stuff you're doing here that isn't typical. So. But yeah, then I think you're gonna have to reinforce it each meeting, because there'll be some people that hear it that way and other people just learn through the process.
Estrada, is it just when you're not?
Just a reminder too, I think as a goal, what we're trying to do is start the next
Okay.
meeting, the official meeting, with a set of bylaws.
Right.
We're leaving it open
Have you had any violations?
so that in between now and then, if there is something that.
Alright, so it looks like you're gonna be driving.
Plug,
Based on
change,
what you should be driving record, you just have to sit down and wait for the job, or go from the job, so your bills will be like.
Put it on the agenda.
You'll be $60.
At least starting the meeting with
So. You can go. You good? Alright, have a seat, we'll call you in a second, okay?
On it as an interim.
Yeah, exactly.
Set that they might be amended once the subcommittee meets again and has more chance to review it.
And I think when if someone wants to make a motion on it, you can make a motion kind of specifying that, like I make a motion to approve with this understanding, and then.
You have a whole month, okay? All you need to do is grab a money order and go drop your motion.
If there's no other questions,
You're gonna drop it off with this form, okay?
entertain a
You
motion.
just do it before 7:07.
I would.
Try again.
Okay.
This is not working very well.
Adopt these as interim bylaws. We'll always meet on the bylaw subcommittee has another chance
How long
to
have you had
possibly
this?
meet to call
Over 3 years?
amendments or changes that need to be made.
So you just got your license?
Is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded.
Who made the second?
Carla.
I'll have the double.
There's no further discussion. Take a vote. The ayes. No nays. The motion passes.
So I will take it as something to do to get answers to this question, but also to reconvene the bylaw subcommittee if anyone else wants to join that.
So the.
There you go.
The next item on the agenda is the pre-approval review of democratic rules of order.
Okay, so in the bylaws you just adopted, it includes using the democratic rules of order. So I wanted to take a little time, because they're not the traditional, Robert's rules, to just take a little time with you guys to walk through the democratic rules of order, and also we can try them out together a little bit tonight, just to. And so if you flip to the third tab in the packet, if you guys want. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's really hard.
I kill more trees. That's why we open the windows, even though it's a little bit crazy looking. All right, so is everybody with this third tab? Okay, great. So the democratic rules of order are basically a kind of very more streamlined and more accessible cousin of the Robert's Rules of Order. And I believe on May 12th, when you and Erica worked with Graham to think this through, I don't know if you want to share anything about your thinking about why these were the ones that you guys ultimately.
I think with all the options that there were, these kind of still provided some structural guidelines as far as going through the meetings and the
So if you're
rules, but
here, you see.
they didn't seem as antiquated
You know what I mean, so you're coming to court, so you hurt. But if you're just looking.
rigid as Robert's Rules of Order, so we thought it was like a good happy medium to
Oh, okay, I see, so it's $96, I don't know why it's missing.
contain, and then we brought it to the group and we were okay with it, so.
Perfect, so go ahead and go.
So first I want to just say, this is going to be a work in progress, like, you know, from the beginning of December, when I'm just keeping, I'm reminding you guys and me too, that we're learning. And like Domingo reminded us from the very beginning about periodically, like, we don't have to do democracy perfectly to have a right to govern. You know, okay. So the goal here is not to like, get this on the first try, right?
No es
The goal
necesario,
is
se
to
le para nada, si desea pagar, es lo único que.
have order, make sure that the meetings are efficient, but also that everyone gets to have a voice and have really thorough conversations. And so that's also the purpose.
Entonces ustedes ganan
So if you skip down to slide 4, the democratic rules, like really, from my point of view, mirror the culture you guys have already established. They're very the intent is collaboration. Very respectful and they're inclusive and accountable and transparent, which are two of the big values, right? They kind of balance depth and efficiency, so there are some things about Robert's rules that are all about moving along. And this is a little bit more to flow a little bit at different points, and to have a deeper discussion together when it makes sense, and I think that fits your culture. And I also think they're they're more accessible and less intimidating to the public. It's also kind of upsetting because sometimes people who are more familiar with Robert's rules kind of take over a meeting because they're like, nope, this is the way this is supposed to go. I'm not saying you guys have never seen anybody in this group do this, but I'm just saying in governing bodies, that is a thing, right? Yeah. So this is kind of like we're all just you're in the same boat as one another, everyone's learning at the same time, so I think that's really cool. So key roles in the meeting, so the main thing to know about the role of the chair under democratic rules of order is that the chair is supposed to be an impartial facilitator. So they're not supposed to drive the meeting. They are supposed to basically make sure that everyone is able to get their voice heard. And that they're supposed to reflect back and make sure that people are clear about what they're talking about, what they're making decisions about, and to be kind of a referee on like, well, hang on, there's a motion on the table, let's not jump to another discussion, you know? So to kind of maintain some order so that you guys can like finish a discussion and everyone has clarity about what it is you're voting on, but also so all voices are able to participate. So as part of that, the chair under the democratic rules of order cannot make a motion, and they also cannot second the motion. Okay, so that's like really, really important. If the chair wants to be the one to motion something in the meeting, they can look ahead at the agenda and say, like Gloria could say to Carla in advance of the meeting, could you chair this meeting? Because this is like, was my whole idea and I really want to make the motion. Can you play that neutral facilitator role, right? But you can't just, under these rules, you can't just switch. You can't be like, I have a neutral facilitator, and now I have a big idea, and now I'm a neutral facilitator. You can't do that. Okay.
So then would she be, if it was Carla, would she be the chair of the remainder of the board meeting?
Yeah.
Or would she start the meeting as the board chair?
She would start, yeah, so it'd be like,
And then they say they.
okay, so, and then the other piece for transparency and accountability.
No, we have the
The secretary, Thomas's job, or the chair,
Not to
has to read out the specific language of any motion.
Give you from this whole month.
This is to make sure you know what you're voting on. Because you know how in a conversation it can go around, right? And so the idea is to like just read it back, because then it could be the person who made the motion or the person who amended a motion or seconded it. It's like, wait a second, I didn't mean it in that, like, that's missing a word, or I want it to be precisely like this before you.
So that when she just made that motion,
We didn't do it the right
I
way.
should have repeated what she
But we
said.
hadn't done this yet,
Yeah.
but yes, and we're gonna practice it after this, but we weren't really doing this before, and it's okay. Because you just adopted these 1 second ago, so now we're letting go. So, okay, so you read the thing, so then, so that way everyone understands what you're voting on, right? So this is like can feel complicated, but it's actually very common sense, you know, once you get the swing of it. Okay, we're gonna skip over this next slide on a sequence of votes. This is a little harder to even keep for you, but I'm not gonna do it all today. Okay, so then I want to explain to you how to make a motion under the democratic rules of order. But first I want to just say that under these rules, you can, a motion can be amended. 3 things can happen in a motion. At what point? It can be voted in as is. It can be amended. It can be postponed. Or it can be withdrawn.
Guilty that you like to use when driving.
Okay.
All right, just have a seat.
As is, amended, postponed, or withdrawn. The only person who can withdraw a motion is the person who made it. You know, so like, if Madonna makes a motion, Madonna can't be like, I withdraw that motion. Again, this makes sense, right? That would be very well, right? Okay. And once somebody makes a motion, if someone amends it, then you have to vote, you have to decide you're gonna discuss the amended motion. So then you need a whole other, you need a second on the motion. That's what you're done. So we're gonna try it again, so don't get overwhelmed. It's gonna come more intuitively the more you do it. Okay, so if any of you wanna make a motion, other than you when you're chairing, you just say, I move that, or I make a motion that, okay? Then another member who's not the chair has to second it. If no one seconds it, like if it's just quiet, then you can say, the motion is no longer before us, and move on. Or the motion that, or whatever, you don't have to do that, but, you know, the motion is no longer before us.
Everything that is under new business needs to be approved.
Well, at the end of this, we're gonna try out some of these. I have some scripts at the end.
But is that usually, like, anything that has to be voted on to move forward, would that all be under?
Not always, no. So actually,
Informational.
You missed.
yeah, I skipped a slide just because I didn't want to overwhelm you, but there is information about that.
Okay, what?
The way the agenda will be organized, yeah, and so you're gonna have information items, discussion items, and action items on the agenda. And only the action items require a vote, you know, but I'll support you with all of this, okay. So are you with me so far, you guys? I don't like talking this. So, okay. If someone does second it, then you go into a discussion, right? And then you are like yeah, you're the facilitator. So your job then, which you already do, is to be like, I saw that Carla wanted to speak, and then Suhana wanted to say something, and then Jordana. And then you just stick with that order, you know, and make sure people like feel like they're heard, right? After, if the discussion feels productive, you can call for a vote. You can say, is anyone ready to vote on this motion? Unlike Robert's rules, you don't have to, there aren't like 10,000 different versions of which things need to be voted on and what. However, one cool thing in Democratic Rules of Order is you have choices about voting. You can vote on with, you can decide to vote verbally, like ayes. You can do a show of hands vote. Or you can decide to do written ballots. So let's say like people, just for whatever reason, it's like a really controversial thing and you're like, people maybe won't feel comfortable. You would just kind of think about this, like people might not feel comfortable voting the way they really feel about this because maybe there's, I don't know, right? But so you could say that it's gonna be by written ballot. And that just gives you written ballots.
And you have to state that,
Good evening,
would he have to make that decision before?
No, you can do it at the case. Okay, so names and like call for a vote. Let's vote by ballot on this one, you know, and then give people time to do that. Okay. Other member, it doesn't have to be the chair that calls for a vote. Again, remember, these are the democratic rules, so think democracy, like in the form we're used to know it. Okay. I'm gonna skip the next slide about Boover's privilege because I think it's just gonna stress you guys out. But what I will say about that is like, if you made the motion, then you are the one that gets to withdraw the motion.
I just want to tell everybody what their rights are. Maybe you'll have.
You know, and so you're told, it makes sense, something about
My bad.
someone else is gonna jump in and
So
withdraw.
I just want to let everybody know that I'm gonna call all the good driving record
Mr. Chair, I'd like to
cases
acknowledge
first.
that Ms.
If
Lasandra
you are
Rowling
claiming a good
has
driving
arrived at
record,
6:02.
that you have not had an offense in the last 3 years,
Um,
you will be
Okay,
required to
now
pay
amended,
$60,
which is a thing you're probably gonna do a lot, right,
$25
is,
court costs
a really important
for a good driving
important
record.
step. And so
you
if you want
choose
to amend
to,
someone else's motion, someone makes a motion.
Challenge
challenge
You
the
just say I
ticket,
move to amend.
we will
the motion.
schedule that down for, another trial.
The main
next
spirit
month.
of
You will
amending
also
under
have
the
the
democratic
opportunity to be
rules
here,
is you
to
can
talk
change
to
the words,
me
you can
and
change,
to talk to you about, and
you
I
can
will just
delete
go
or
through
substitute
what
words,
it is
but you cannot
that
change
went on
the
the
meaning.
day that the
Like,
ticket
so,
was received.
If someone
Um,
says, I'd like to make a
Once
motion
you're done with
to
me, you're gonna go
approve
see
these
the
as
subject,
interim
give you
bylaws,
instructions,
to be
if your
revisited
name
by the
is a driving
subcommittee,
record.
then someone else
right now.
can't say, and I would like to amend
Oh, you're not
Guy's
entitled to the
motion
driving
by
record, by the way,
saying
you have a
that we're
CDL
not gonna
license, so
approve
if
these
anybody here has a
bylaws.
CDL license.
You know, that's not an amendment. Like, you wanna,
or
you wanna
you
keep the spirit and
commit an
intent of that original
with a
motion,
commercial
but
motor
you're making
vehicle
some change
or,
or adaptation to it. Does that make sense?
No, that's it. Okay,
Alright, great.
Miss,
And then amendments also have to be seconded to the warrant, so like if someone says, I want.
how are
I
you? Thank you,
have
I'm
an
sorry about
amendment,
that.
then your job is to be like, is there a second
All right, so you're
on
claiming
the
the
amended
driving record.
And if there's no
I wasn't aware you had that record.
If there's no second on the amended motion, it goes back to the original motion. And then you have to be like, there was no second on the amended motion, was back to
That
the
would be
original.
very, I agree.
There's no further amendments and no second.
But, okay, so you were like just on the cusp, so good for you.
Okay,
Again.
I think this is a really important
Driving
thing.
record for
I
3 years.
don't, you know, again, I got you all a little book
You cannot.
for summer reading about this, that's why the democratic rules are for the
Robert's
Robert's rules.
I have a visual, I
From
can
my
see
high
example.
There's a flow
It's an
chart,
action.
it's 40 pages, and I will just say the Robert's Rules book is 700 pages, so, you know, all right, so anyway. All right, so a really cool and important thing to know about this too is you can postpone a motion. So let's say, like, it's a really important motion someone puts on the floor, and
Sign the
you
request.
had a second, and you have like some pretty protracted conversation about it, but you're like, this is actually really, really important, and
Yes.
we need more time to think about this, which I can see you guys doing, because you're very, very thoughtful,
That's
you know, and you wanna get it right.
No,
So
there's no
someone
rush.
could say, I
We
would
just
like,
have
I
to
make
be-
a motion to
that's
postpone the motion.
That
Um,
is quite a
Okay, it's awkward, but you know, and then you have to get a second.
Okay.
So in other words,
Statute
under the
requires
democratic rules, in order to talk about anything more, you have to have a second, because it's a way of being like, but does the group want to do that, or is it just one person? Okay, so when in doubt, just think about, like, the democratic rules are about being like democratic, so it shouldn't just be like one person is driving the train. It's like, well, does anyone else feel that way? And if they don't, then you don't do it, right?
Just need to sign the request.
Does this make sense? Okay, good. All right, so that's postponing, okay, then, next you have a lovely flow chart, which for some of our visual people will possibly help, but also maybe be overwhelming, we don't have to spend a lot of time on that. I'm gonna skip over point of order, because again, and rescinding and reconsidering, we can revisit that at some future time. I don't even need to do this is just like some things about the culture of the board that you guys would probably rather do that. Voting procedures. So I think we kind of talked about this, but one thing important is a majority of votes is needed to pass a motion. And right now you're an 8-member board. So under the democratic rules, again, think democracy, a tie fails.
So don't forget to sign the request.
Okay, so, because until we have our 9th person, you guys are gonna need an even number, so if you end up voting for, that motion fails. And it will go back to
Good
the
afternoon,
vote.
Mr. Long, evening.
Well, if it was an amended motion, it goes back to the original motion, yeah, but if it was the original motion and it fails, it just fails, it's just done, you move on to something else. Someone else could make a new motion in that, about that, okay.
So you two need to sign.
We don't need to go over the comments and things. Okay, so rather than doing, we could take a minute and look at, but I guess like first I'll
Any
ask if
questions
anybody
about?
has questions. And then my thought was, we have a couple things to potentially make motions and vote on tonight. So that's partly why I wanted to do this at this point in the meeting, because then I thought we could try it out in a safe way. That's like, it's okay if it's like, if we have to stop and be like, wait, what was the rule again about, like, I wanna postpone that thing, but I don't remember how to do that, okay? Does that feel okay? Alright, so So before we try it out, we could try it out with the mission, vision, goals, and schedule. Those are the things that are coming up on the agenda. But first, are there any, like, could you always have no questions about what's in that?
Although I speak Spanish, I don't speak English through the.
Okay. And I am not an expert on this.
So it's my understanding that you are also substitute.
Okay, so,
Have any questions about
so
warning?
the last slide, the last page, gives you a little bit of a script if you want it, of like,
All right, so I'm gonna resolve.
Chair, you would
this
present the
line
action
record.
item, so the next.
3 years,
item on the
right?
agenda
No
is
offenses.
the second read draft mission, visions, and goal statements.
I used to count my
So
years
you
every
could
year.
present that as an action item and then entertain or hear any motions related to any of those things. And then you all would be a member and
Okay,
you
don't
can
forget
prove
to
that
sign the
we
form and the clerk's gonna give you
adopt,
instructions.
amend, the mission statement, blah, blah, blah,
Anthony
et cetera. Anyway, I will stop.
How are you today?
So the,
So you're also taking the driving record. Any questions?
Wait,
about
should we
the-
have to
Oh,
vote?
actually,
We have to
so-
vote
sorry,
on
it's
this one.
so you've got, it's the two shortest pieces of paper in your packet, substantive things you don't aside from the bylaws. Yeah, so it's, it should look like this piece of paper, okay? And on the back are the goals, so it's values, vision, mission, goals. And then there's the dates. Okay, so if you want to, otherwise you
So,
The
the
driving
next
years.
item,
All right, good night. Lydia, Scott?
where is it next item?
How are you, Ms.
The draft mission. Vision and goals.
You're also facing the driving.
We're gonna go with the mission first.
I cannot, it's statutory.
Is there any discussion on those? Will anybody have a chance to review them?
I
Questions?
don't blame you, I appreciate the drive. It's,
Okay.
whether it's fine or not.
So we have two versions, so we have to vote on this one or.
It's fully up to you, I just left it exactly where you left off in that one tree. There were two versions, so,
So can I just say,
You have to pay. Yes.
Remember,
Every minute.
we put together,
I don't make the rules, I just follow it.
Yeah. Right?
I merged things
right.
from your notes.
Yeah, we have-
Yes.
I think we should.
yeah.
So if that's the case, we have two, I can say the board will entertain a motion to
So,
approve
yeah, sign your
mission,
request as well.
mission statement.
Thank you.
version A.
Dora
Or
Velasquez.
you could say, the board will entertain any motions related to the Central Falls School Board mission statements.
What she said.
Sorry, you should.
So I can make a motion to say
Any questions for me?
I feel that we should adopt version, is that what I would say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion that we move to adopt the full, version 2 of the board.
Wait, can we have a chance to review first?
Yes.
No, because I made a motion to postpone it because I wanted it. Can we read it, Reggie?
Yeah,
We vote on it?
Put it together, so that's what
Yeah.
what we said before. All right, so you wanna see the clerk, and she's gonna give you instructions on payment, okay? Take a look at it. Judith Hadley? Good evening, Ms. Hadley, how are you? You're also claiming good driving record, did you have any questions for me?
Is it just a straight 60?
It's the straight 60,
Okay,
and it doesn't show up on your record, and it shouldn't affect your insurance either.
okay. Because when I called this phone number here at the bottom,
Yes.
and the person I spoke to there, I thought they told me it would be $35 for that.
It is 35 that the
So
statute
there is
requires, but
a
there's
motion
card costs
on the
of
floor.
$25 that are also.
Is anyone second that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can you repeat?
I had already
Yes.
spent the $21.50.
The motion
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
my
floor
driving
is
record.
to
Oh, no.
pass the second version of the mission statement. from
But it is good to get, because you never know.
Seconded.
Maybe there's something on there that's a little.
We have a motion and a second. Can I get a show of hands of all those who are in favor?
Version of the second, right?
Yes, the version of the second. All in favor, the motion passes for the motion to accept the second version
Just have
of
the
the
union
mission
sign this one
statement.
as well with the clerk, okay?
Version, motion.
Sarah, we would usually read in this case, we would read the mission out loud, right? So
You could.
whoever's
Sure.
present reads it
Sure.
or hears it,
Good
right?
idea.
Or no?
Sure, that's all right. I think you did it for, you repeated the motion.
Yeah.
Already, but in the process of making a motion, maybe in the, what is it? Like, I would like to make a motion to approve version 2 of the mission statement, which I will now register. Or somebody could read it now. Okay, you look like you're also planning on providing the third.
So we have, probably can read it.
Any questions about anything I've said tonight?
Mayor Maria?
Yes.
We have adopted version 2 of the mission statement, which is, we are committed to rebuilding trust in local school governance. Our mission is to foster trust and strengthen local school governance by empowering stakeholders through accountability and embracing all voices across all cultures in our community. Through transparent and inclusive leadership, we believe strong schools are built
All
within
right, thanks
communities
so much, have a great night.
where communities feel
David
heard.
Gonzalez?
I was waiting for that word transparent.
Yes.
Core values. Okay, so you could, it's up to you, you could follow that same process to
Any questions?
vote on the values, the vision statement, and the goals. Or you could have one. It's up to you guys.
Well, I don't have, we have the mission.
You have been,
Oh, sorry,
Please
and the
keep it up.
values
Yes.
we don't have.
Yeah, I didn't put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
That was values.
Yeah.
Vision and goals.
Yeah. All right, so,
The mic.
No, not yet, sorry.
the same one, we're going to entertain the second reading of the vision statement.
Almost. Give yourself a good night. Thanks.
If there's any questions or discussion from board members?
Good afternoon, Ms. Marshall, how are you? Good, how are you? Good, you're also claiming good driving records. Did you have any questions for me about anything I've talked about tonight?
So someone makes, so you could say, I'll entertain a motion related to the vision statement.
I'll entertain a motion related to the vision statement for.
So
You
now
can make a
you
motion.
make a motion, you make that one.
I make the motion.
Yeah, he can't make any motions, remember, he's the chair.
Central Police, Central Falls.
Second?
We envision schools where education, family, and educator voice matter, where every culture is respected, and where every learner is tasked with opportunities, support, and education needed to build a meaningful and successful future. We are Central Falls students, families, educators, and community members work together to ensure every child succeeds. Okay, you are charged with parking and committed with sidewalks for $100. I do have a little note here that says you want to go to trial, is that what you're looking for?
All in favor?
Okay, no problem. The next hearing date is gonna be July 7th.
Motion
On
passes.
that day, you will come in and you can bring me any evidence you want me to look at or consider. That night, the officer that stopped you that day will
The
also.
next item is the goal statements for the Central Falls School Board.
So whoever the officer was that took it.
If you guys can review them, and if there's any questions, please let me know.
There is a spot there.
So it was basically, I guess.
And the bylaws that you just adopted.
Far out.
Yeah.
There is something though, it says you have to give the chair to the third
You can hold the meeting, like we have interpreters and we will going forward, and so conceivably, like, there's nothing stopping me from having the entire meeting in Spanish and then having interpreters say it back in English, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so at any point, I'll see if it's switching to Spanish. There's no official,
So it's-
you're allowed to hear it.
I'm not taking anything you're saying to me under advisement today, right? That when you come back on the 7th, this is to you and therefore the officer that gave you the ticket. If you have pictures you want me to consider, I would say print out the pictures. If you can, I mean, it doesn't have to be just picture size, but then I'll need you to just.
Now, going back to the goal
Park in terms of where the sign is in comparison to.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Okay, all right, so I am going to sign off on this,
Comment.
that we are down for the 7th. And the clerk is gonna have you sign this as well, and we'll see you back here on the 7th at 6 o'clock.
Spanish.
All right, so just
That's also totally wonderful, like it should be. It's also in the bylaws that everything.
And it's some point where you
All right, let's refocus here. We have guests. So we are taking a look at the goal statements and this discussion. If not, entertain the motion on goal statements.
okay? So you'll come here, just checking again.
I make a motion to stop.
Yes, because I'm not.
Our goals are, 1, to ensure all of our students and the educators who serve them have access to the diverse educational resources, staffing, supports, and programming they need and deserve. 2, to ensure all of our students, including our newcomers, have the language development instruction, resources, and support they need and deserve. 3, higher accountability and transparency with the community to school district leadership, including superintendent evaluation, financial management, and oversight, reporting and public input, understanding the budgeting process, audits, and accountability functions of the central administration. 4, systematic and consistent family, educator, and community feedback, voice, and empowerment. Beyond providing families, educators, and community with support and direction, we want to ensure all families, educators, and community members are provided avenues that work for them to provide feedback about what our community's children need, concerns they have, and issues as they arise. To be able to engage in their home language and to have their rights as parents honored and respected. All stakeholders will receive consistent respect, accountability, and honest response as individuals and at a system level.
And this is the address. And money order, you're good to go. Yes.
Before you go into a discussion of the motion, someone has to second it, otherwise it. And then you could say,
Okay, so we have a motion to pass the year 1 goals and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Ms.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't understand these. It is this 1 year goal with these cosas, 1, 2, 3, or all of them together? The motion is for all of them or for one set?
Well,
For all.
for year 1 goals, number 1. Motion.
Oh, my
and a
God.
second. All, we'll do a vote, all in favor?
can come
Any
right,
opposed?
right here, sir, right here.
The motion passes.
How are you?
Good.
All right, so you're gonna use your driving record. So your driving record.
Next item on the agenda is the review of the proposed school board meetings for the year 2026 or 2027.
Support costs, which are not waivable.
It's in your package.
It's a total of $60. You need to not have had another incident for another 3 years, and obviously you will claim it again.
Is there any questions or comments on that?
Great.
I have a question, sir. So, can we take the time to like check? Since it's like a year ahead.
I don't usually
You
drive.
can always amend dates, right?
Ah,
Or move a date if need
what were
to.
you doing this side of town?
I was detoured, and I was on the way to.
Yeah, so even written out,
Oh.
so the meeting date as well as the time and place may be changed for some canceled by majority vote of the board.
Well, you know, it happens.
So yes, yes, you can. these are the second
But you have
Tuesday,
the driving record, you
just
pay
kind of what's
$60 if you
looking
wanna show up
for
with
you
your
guys and what you discussed.
record and it treatment.
As keeping that, I mean, my recommendation would be to
That is very good.
try to stay as consistent with these as possible, especially if you're looking to like engage with the community, because people plan ahead, and as you know, people are really busy, and so if they get into more
All right,
of a
so you just
regular
need to
rhythm,
sign
and
your
you're not
request for
guessing
support,
about
and
what
she
day
is
it's gonna
going
be,
to tell you some instructions on how to get it.
But obviously, I did check these against, like, election day and other, you know, Columbus Day and other holidays to make sure that, they didn't conflict with other things.
And we wanna have a meeting in July.
Correct.
Well, we have a meeting with my birthday.
When's your birthday this year?
Because we want to buy you a
October
cake.
13th.
Yes, I'm gonna celebrate.
Okay, we had a meeting on Crystal's birthday this year.
I know.
Or you made that meeting,
Yeah.
okay, remember, okay.
Question, who came up? Did the superintendent decide the rotations?
Yeah, I coordinated with the superintendent.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that have good driving records, that was great.
No, I mean, the date, you guys can change it, but I guess what I just want you to know is like, I didn't do this.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Superintendent sent us back this today with the list of schools and we covered that would work.
Yeah,
out.
Thank you so much.
I just, like, my only concern with this is, I
What
know that we're going.
Oh, we have one more.
Each state rotating the school
Oh,
buildings
my
for
God.
meetings.
What else? I wanna get her?
It's probably just something that are comfortable in most schools, they'll be more apt to come. My only concern is that, like, if your child's at Orla High School, and there is something that you wanna bring up at a school board meeting, not that you couldn't do it beforehand, but seeing kind of in the comfort of your own school that this meeting at the building is about, you know, your school, so you might feel more comfortable to bring up concerns, or that they would have to wait.
We gotta take her.
And I don't know,
How was
like,
the
you know, somebody would have to wait till those days and get it, but I'm like trying to
Oh,
think
my
of
God.
alternative to that.
One point of order, I don't remember, Chair, but I don't think anyone made a motion yet, so.
Good for you. I'm doing a little challenge,
Just
just
like the
like
Democratic rules, I
5
would
days
just
for
encourage
10 days during the month of
you
June.
to ask for motions.
I did day 3 already. Thank you, Hector.
So is there a motion regarding the adoption of this proposed schedule?
Well, you can make a motion to adopt.
Seconded.
I make a motion to.
Best.
To discuss or to, so it has to be a motion to adopt, then it has to be seconded, and then once it's seconded, now the discussion.
I'll report back, Hector.
It smells amazing.
Doesn't it smell so good?
And then we'll
Wow.
vote if, and then
Now
if
that
that's
smells
the case, then we'll take a
amazing.
vote. If it doesn't pass,
Bill's
the
gonna be happy.
proposal
Or you can make it.
away, or
You
you
can
can make
amend,
it. or-
Did you make a motion to discuss amending?
No.
That's today.
Okay.
So do I have, is there a motion to approve the proposed schedule as is?
I make a motion to amend it.
You can't.
He wasn't done with the thing.
No, we
That was
cannot.
pretty close. What's the word? I think I was just thinking like that. We're just thinking like that.
This is good though, 'cause this is good.
So we have to approve it and then?
We're not, it's not approved until it's voted on.
Hang on for 1 minute.
So until it's voted on, it's not approved.
I make a motion to, I don't know, wait.
Second, you have a second.
Okay.
We have a second by, so now is there a discussion regarding the matter? Now we can discuss it.
I like Sarah, right? Yes, I like Sarah. Go on, try to just, don't bring it to
You can amend a motion or you can move to postpone.
I know you do.
Oh,
You know, I have all
so
kinds
good.
of food, but. Coffee, oh my God, thank you.
What's the word? Postpone, yep. Turn on a non-working fan.
Yeah.
Because
I think that, that's very important and said, thank you, thank you.
Gracias. I don't have
My intended, my knowledge.
Could we, because it seems like right here, it's like the proposed meeting dates, and it's not saying, it's just saying like location. Could if we have like a location calendar, and then maybe have it be like Tuesday, okay, so that's two schools, it's upper and lower, like maybe on October 13th, could it be Vets and Elleris? Like combining them, so more throughout the year, school, like specific schools are having an opportunity, because as it is right now, Vets school will, I don't want to call it like the star school, but like the featured school, we'll call it that, like the featured school, like how we were in the bylaws that.
I don't think when we said, when I was the one that actually brought it to the table that I wanted to rotate between schools, just because the meeting starts in Central Falls High School doesn't mean that only Central Falls kids or staff can go. I want the community to know that they can go to any of these meetings. It's just that every school's gonna get the chance that.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It was more like the opening ceremonies. Remember how we talked about that, so if we were at Vets on October 13th, in the opening ceremonies, like there would be a student, a teacher, and a parent from Vets that would highlight, you know, in that first part, would highlight positive things or something that they wanted to showcase that was going on at Vets. I know that in public comment, like somebody could, I'm trying to say but the highlight school at that meeting would be Vets. So if there was issues at a school like Calcutta or Central, or the high school, would they feel like they were taking over at that meeting?
I wanna, do a point of order thing, but, I mean, just in terms of coaching, you guys are academic high schools, so there was a motion made and seconded,
Correct. And then there was a second motion.
there was a second motion, then the discussion pivoted to a second motion, so you generally don't wanna do that, you wanna close out like one motion, right? And then, or you could amend this motion, so Lysandra, you could be saying, I want to amend the motion to approve, I would amend it by approving the dates, but postponing discussion of the locations, like until August or something like that. That's one possibility, but anyway, remember the thing about when you're amending a motion, you can't leave the intent of this original motion, which was to approve these dates, right?
Right.
If you just want this motion to die, then you can say, I don't agree with it and I'm not gonna vote for it, or whatever, and then the chair
We'll take
can
a vote.
move to just vote, and then that motion will die, right? But the motion that Carla made had a second, which means that's the motion we
That's the
should be
priority.
focused on for a while until it's dead, right? Okay, does that make sense? Of course. Okay, so this is the point of we're trying to practice this. I also wonder, since we have on the mayor and Martha, if you wanna press pause on this, have our people speak to you, and then we can
Yes.
we come back to
We
it.
need a motion.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah, you need a motion.
So, or you
Can I
can say
get a
without
motion?
objection.
To table this till after our presentation.
I make a motion.
He needs a second, he needs a second, wait, there's a, no, you're not.
Can I get a motion to
I make a
table this?
motion, yeah, I make a motion to postpone the approval of the proposed meeting dates of 2022. Do anyone second?
I second that. I second
Vote on that
that.
motion. Great, next.
All right, can I get a vote on the motion to postpone the dates?
Lisandro voted, all in favor, say aye.
Anyone against? All right, the motion carries.
Okay, so Mayor Rivera, since you've been waiting the longest and also you're the mayor, would you like
Just so you know, I was like, are you guys not done yet?
I tried to, I said
We're gonna talk about this.
6:15, no, I was trying to.
I had 6:15 on the calendar.
I want that shirt.
That's what I said.
Everybody wants a shirt, but these were done by the main sponsor. So-
Yes, yes.
But there are some other ones. There are some other lady, we were just talking. I'm gonna go girl find shirts. Alright. Yeah, so thank you for having me. Congratulations, and thank you on all of the work that you have been doing. And a huge congratulations on us getting local control of our schools. It's been a lot of work. Mike is not a speaking point for me, but I'm not gonna use it. Yeah, no, I think I want this to be more of a conversation, and I want you to know why I was so invested, or why I'm still so invested in the education. I feel like the mayor of the city, I have a responsibility, right? And I think the biggest responsibility is to the youth and the future of this community. And I know that for years, many, many people have been fighting for Central Falls and their kids, not being one of them who was on the board. And I also feel that for many, many, many years, people at the state level were really not paying attention to us, or they really don't care about the community of Central Falls, right? When I talk about, when I hear about, Control and Providence and how people were involved and they were having bi-weekly meetings or monthly meetings, and who was attending these meetings? And why were they trying to work on a plan? That was a question about why wasn't it being done for Central Falls. It was just the school board. All along, they were the only voices for this community. So why should we let the state keep our schools when I felt like they really weren't doing much? It's no secret that there are resources that are needed in this community. I think teachers work hard, everybody who's in the schools, the board, like everybody's working hard trying to figure out like, what is it? What do we need to do to help our kids, right? So, which was why we did all the work. We wanted to talk to teachers, we wanted to talk to families, we wanted to talk to students about what are these gaps that we have to tap into and try to figure out what are these resources that we need. I think there's gonna be a lot of work that has to be done. I don't blame anybody for the failure of the kids in Central Falls. I think there has been systemic failures for many, many, many years. And it's just the people at the higher level not paying attention to Central Falls or not caring about our kids. When you talk to teachers like David Dupay, you know how much he cares and how much he's invested in this community. So it's not about them, like they're not failing our kids. There could be, there could also be someone who is not as invested, who's working here. But we're not gonna know that until we get in there and start making this process very transparent. This isn't, I'm not looking for people to retire. I'm looking for us to try to figure out how do we help this district bring in more resources into this community. After really understanding what are these needs. So it's about transparency, it's about accountability, it's about listening to the people that are doing the work and what is it that they're missing. And it's about holding people accountable at the higher level too, because even though now we're gonna have local control of our schools, I'm not running the schools, and I never wanna do that. Throughout this whole process, I have said to people, I am not an educator. But we need to put the right people in the room who are gonna hold people accountable where there's gonna be transparency and who are gonna fight for our kids. And I feel, that for years, we've had people who have been there fighting for our kids, but nobody was really listening to us and paying attention. So, I think from here on, what I expect of the board is to make sure that you stay focused on what is the work that needs to be done. I really don't like the politics of stuff. I don't want stuff to turn political. I want you to stay focused on what is it that we're trying to accomplish here. And the ultimate goal is to help our kids, make sure that they're getting a good education. Let's work on changing the outcomes for the city of Central Falls, and let's shut some mouths. Let's really teach the people, but no, seriously, what Central Falls is about. We have smart kids here.
Really smart.
Like kids that are going to some of the top Ivy League schools. They just need the support. So how are we all gonna work together to make sure that we continue pushing whatever it is we have to do to help our kids succeed?
Thank you so much, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your guidance.
And I appreciate, I appreciate that you allowed us to come in here and have this conversation. It's gonna be a lot of work. But we're all here for a reason, and it's for our kids, because we really wanna help them succeed.
Anyone have any questions for the mayor?
I just want to add to what she said as the vice chair. I feel like if we continue to do stuff the way we're doing, nothing's going to change. So, in understanding that the role, when we accepted this role, we came in knowing that we were supposed to put in a lot of work. So, we don't, as a vice chair, I expect everyone in this board to do their work outside of us meeting together. Go out there and network. Let's see how we can get people to invest in our community, create partnerships. I don't know, we have to do whatever it takes for our kids to succeed.
And I think, get the families engaged. Make sure they're using their voices, make sure they're coming to the meetings, make sure they're fighting for their kids with our support.
Correct.
Yeah. And you know what, these meetings, they shouldn't be all about the good things that are happening.
No, not at all.
What's not working needs to be told and needs to be made public so that we can work on trying to figure out, okay, what do we need? How are we gonna address this? And we should also applaud the good things that are happening.
That's what as you were talking, I was writing down when you brought up gap, and obviously there are definitely academic gaps that need to be addressed, and we have to figure out solutions. But that's only in the traditional sense of the word gap, and I feel as though, and I've always said this, that we never celebrate the successes where the other communities may have a gap with us, the seal of biliteracy, and how many of our students are, leaving. I doubt that there's another community in the state that has, students and children graduating, and even at the elementary level, that can speak two languages pretty much. And I just feel like we need to also make a point, and like you had said, it's no one was really out there trying to support and make it better, and so there's so many things to celebrate with the students, and showing that where everyone looks at gaps and RICAS scores, and it's just brainwashed of that's what makes students successful or districts successful, and there's so much in this district that can be a model for other districts.
I think we should celebrate not only the super smart kids, but the advanced, that the kids that they are really struggling at home for any situation, and they cannot concentrate, but then they go to the school and they give it all, and they try, and they don't get recognized because they are not the best in the class. So I think we should do something for them too and encourage them.
I think a lot of that is happening in the classrooms.
Yes.
I really do, because I've been visiting classrooms, and there are teachers that you can tell how much they're trying to support them and celebrate them, the whole classroom as a whole. And I think we also need to take advantage. We have a Random High School, our students are motivated, right? They love what they're walking into right now. We're getting this new pre-K to 8 dual language. We need to use that as an opportunity to continue empowering them, because they're motivated to go to school. And the teachers say,
That's why I talked to the superintendent when she came in. I mean, we have meetings with the parents, and we hear the parents, we know already. Some of them expressed to us, and we already know what is going on, that they are really discouraged about it. So we want to be part of that against, encourage them, give them the help they need, and anything that we can do, I'm sure that we all are committed to do it.
I mean, there could also be lack of communications, because
Yes.
there are parents who never come to school and only want to come to school to address something, and they're already coming with a mindset about that one thing without knowing what is happening in that classroom. Which is why it's important to make sure that parents stay engaged. Anything else?
No, Mayor, thank you so much.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you for you guys. Thank you.
I'm also holding you all accountable. No, I trust and believe that you all have the best intentions.
Yes.
Yeah, and that you're gonna be focused and let's try to do whatever we can to help these kids.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and the teachers, because I know they work really hard.
Yeah.
With a little, they're doing a lot with a little.
That's right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we also have Anna and Martha. Martha? Yeah. I don't know if you both want to come up and, introduce yourselves and, jump right in. Mayor, you know Anna, obviously. Do you know Martha? She's a teacher in Central Falls School.
Hi, how are you? Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So thank you guys.
I love it. Come on, I don't
There is pizza also, if you need to eat or a snack or something.
Thank you so much.
That's why he's taking the pizza. So. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, Lorraine.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
Well, Martha, Nana, welcome to, thank you guys for taking the time to come. As you know, we are the new board, officially taking over in a couple of days, right?
Maybe, yeah, we
In a week and a half or so. So during the whole time that since we kind of formed, we've been doing training and trying to get used to the rules of order and how to make motions and all that stuff. But one of the biggest things that we wanted to do is obviously hear from the folks that have been in those leadership positions, that have been in these seats in the past, to see what, any advice, any guidance, anything that we should be focused on, or anything in general. So that's why we asked you guys to come out, give us some.
You've been on the board before, from what I understand, so you have a different perspective than I do.
I do, I'll keep it short so we can.
No, go ahead.
Chairman Bradley, and members of the board. I don't know many of you other than Giovanna, and your good work and your leadership in the years that I served. You were definitely in the district, and I recall your contributions. I started serving on the board in Central Falls in 2005. So Lorraine Quintero, who was just here with the mayor, was a student at the high school, and she graduated. I handed her diploma. And so one of the questions that you asked me, Sarah, like a prompt was, "Oh, what do you care?" It's not a matter of caring. It's a matter of just being proximate and seeing in my eyes, like seeing my reflection in other people. And so there's a living, breathing example of what happens when you invest in quality young people. They turn out like Lorraine Quintero, and they do amazing things in the city and beyond. I'm sure she's going to do amazing things in her life. I served from 2005 to 2014. And I know that specifically because I was pregnant with my second son when I joined the group. And I had a 4-year-old in tow. So I was a mom, and what happens when people love you, you might know, what happens when you become a parent is you want what you want for your kids, you want for other people's kids. And I think that's exactly what happened. Something ignited in me, and when the opportunity to join the board, I was appointed by the state, which you all now are not. So there's a big difference. And so when I led the Central Falls School Board, it was a very different environment. We didn't have necessarily a Mayor Maria Rivera to grab a hold of. We had a mayor that was actually going to federal prison. We didn't have a new shiny high school for our kids to be very proud of and for our teachers to be very comfortable. And we had roofs in the high school that were falling apart and ruts in California Middle School, and just a lot of unwanted behavior in and around our schools. And so those were not the perfect conditions. Add to that storm, we had politics. Even though Mayor Maria said, I don't want this to be political, guess what? It's gonna become political. Because if you really ask tough questions and hold yourselves and others accountable, it's gonna start butting into other things that you may not intend to have it float there, but it's gonna get there at some point, I can guarantee you that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Starting with being caring people is a great thing. I would push you further to say, let's move beyond caring and actually use your platforms, your voices, your ability to bring people together, whether you're an educator or a business person or a government person, and actually mobilize, like the mayor said, bring parents along and bring students along so they understand that these are their schools, these are their communities. We did a lot in 14 years. I think we're probably one of the most misunderstood governing bodies in public education in the history of the United States of America. And I can say that with all confidence in the world, because our intentions were so much different in the way that we were being portrayed. But no regrets. I mean, it is what it is, right? A lot of the things that Jordana mentioned about literacy seal, the fact that you have a dual language program, and there's an emphasis on that. The fact that you have at high school, all of that is built on the foundations of a lot of the grunt work that happened with people like B.K. Norton, like Ana Cecilia Rosado, like Sonia Grace, like Ron Pitt, Vice President of Academic Affairs from Rhode Island College, Stephanie Gonzalez, I mean, just so many people. Angela Garcia. They're just really amazing, amazing people that I have nothing but gratitude and admiration for having served with them in one time or another. I'm here to help, even though I don't live in Central Falls anymore. I was born literally on Central Street, right in front of the Pulaski Club on the third floor. That's where Mark Morales was born. I was actually born in Notre Dame Hospital when there was actually birthing happening there. So it's not Notre Dame Hospital anymore, it's a health center. But I was born there, and my parents immigrated here from Colombia, from Medellin. And my heart will always be here. It will always be here. This isn't a gig, this isn't a power trip, this isn't something that you do because you want to have a platform for higher office. Actually, none of the people, with the exception of Hugo Figueroa, who was already in office, actually aspired to go on into politics. And that was the furthest from my mind either. I never wanted to go into politics. I wanted to actually create policy changes. If I could just leave you with a couple of suggestions. Look outside of Central Falls. Yes, look within Central Falls. There's amazing things happening in the classrooms. There's amazing things happening in the lives of our students. Their creativity is not measured by a score on a particular assessment. I completely agree with you. And also, look outside of this district, look outside of the state of Rhode Island. What are national best practices? What should we be doing? Yes, they can learn from us, completely agree with that, but we can also learn from others. And so look at the policy recommendations. It's kind of harder now with the federal government because you're kind of not quite sure what those are at this point. But look at Annenberg. Annenberg Institute at Brown University has written so many reports on Central Falls schools, on school reform, on this governance model. So, I mean, literally, I'd be on the phone with them tomorrow saying, send me all your reports. Let's look them over. What are some of the recommendations that I didn't get to, that my board was not able to get to for whatever reason? And if there are things that are still worthy of pursuing, do it. It matters not whose credit gets given. That has nothing to do with it. I have nothing but admiration for all of you because it takes a lot. That child that was in my belly, he is now 20 years old, Moises, and he called my husband William Mama before he called me Mama. Because I was in Central Falls worrying about other people's kids. And so it's a lot of sacrifice. To your point, yes, hold yourself accountable, hold your peers accountable here on the board. It's not the kind of position that you mail in. If you think you're gonna mail it in and maybe I'll show up, maybe I'll read my materials, maybe Like what Sarah's doing, I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody walking me through rules, Robert's rules and this and that. Like, and I think I did pretty good. But I had to testify in front of the House Finance Committee. I had to testify in front of Rhode Island Board of Education. Actually, I was on the Rhode Island Board of Education at the same time that I was doing this here in Central Falls. So it's a little schizophrenic because the policies that we were creating as a board, when you were the head of the learning community and we were talking about the learning community and other charters in the district, and just other policies in the district, I would have to implement them here. And the way that they were implemented in other communities would look very different in Central Falls. And so, all that to say that it's a lot of work. My hat's off to you, especially the chairman, because the chairperson has a lot of responsibility, as does the vice chair. A lot of leadership responsibility in your hands. And as Maria did say, you know, it's about the good stuff, but it's also about the accountability. Otherwise, the governance model really, it isn't about that, right? And the last thing, move from caring to have that fuel you, but caring to what end? What are the policies that you want to change, or that you want to review, or that you quite don't understand? How the finances work? What are your partners in other districts? Other funders? How do you work collaboratively with other people? I've spoken too much. But I'm always available to you. I've known Dorian all my life. And I'm always available to him as well as all of you if you need anything. My life is an open book. I probably have been written about so many times in the news that it's nauseating. Half of that is true, the other half is not true. But if you ever want me to support in any other way, please let me know.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask one question?
Of course you're done.
So, having the both roles, being the teacher, working under you as the chair of our board, and now in this role, looking back, advice to me and my fellow board members, if there's one thing that you could do differently, that we, like, something that, I don't want to say regret, because not really regret, if you could look at a situation was presented, the way you handle something differently. Like, not what would it be, not specific, like how would you change that? What would you tell us to watch out for? Kind of, do you know, do you see what I'm trying to ask?
I appreciate your question, and yes, I was thinking about that. I was driving over here like, what advice would I tell them, like, don't do that, because it really didn't work or whatever. I think for me, I didn't do enough to learn about labor, our state's labor movement, and the communities that are behind labor. I didn't. I was very naive politically, because I wasn't approaching this position as a politician. And so I think going forward, I would befriend everybody until you find that you have something in common or you don't have something in common. But I didn't take the time to do that. And so the first time that we were meeting, it was over a crisis. And that didn't start the relationship very strongly. So I would say, understand who your constituencies are. And you have many of them, Joelle. You have students, you have teachers, you have retired teachers who are still around and who still have an opinion about Central Falls schools. Community members, you have your elected officials, both at the local level and at the state level. You have labor. And get to know these different constituencies. Have, maybe dedicate an agenda item or something, or a discussion item periodically with these folks. You can have a learning session with, a particular constituency. So I would say that. And to be honest with you, everything else, I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I have no doubt that everything we could do, we did. Whatever spaghetti was supposed to stick up on the wall, stuck. And the rest didn't stick for many reasons, but it wasn't because we didn't try. But yeah, that would be it. Take over.
No, anything else? Are you sure?
Yeah.
PS?
No, PS is congratulations, really.
Thank you so much.
I want to hear you.
Oh, no, it's not as eloquent as
No,
that.
I want to hear you.
No, my name is Martha D'Amico. I've been in CF for 26 years. I started out at Feinstein School on Broad Street, then Elris, and now at Vets. I started actually as my student teaching at Vets, so it's nice circling back. And then I worked at Henry Barnard over at Red before that, so I have the private school experience. I am currently the MLL specialist, multilingual learner specialist, K through 5, so I host small groups and work with students on their reading, writing, speaking, and listening, preparing them for the access test, which all students that are multilingual learners have to take in the state of Rhode Island if they've been identified. So that's part of my job. I have other responsibilities, but that's part of my job is supporting those students. Anything else on that? That's kind of me, what I do. I represent the families, I represent the children, and I listen to the mayor, and I appreciate everything she said. I think you have a big job in front of you. I heard everything that you said, and I agree with everything you said. Especially the Institute report, I think you should look at that.
There's tons of them.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot. But I guess maybe the last one, I think outside the box. Our kids deserve so much, but they don't have any prior knowledge, so to speak. We don't go on field trips, we don't have the money. We don't have PTOs, and we try to get them up every year. It's really hard, so the buses are so expensive, so our kids don't have the experience that other kids do in other districts. So when we read books in class, they don't know third grade knows what an aquarium is, but they don't know things that other kids know. And so if you don't know those things, then they're on tests, to be honest with you. They're on the RICAS test, they're on the access test, they're on iReady, they're on everything, and they're in books, and the kids are like, what's this? And it's something that I never thought that a child didn't know. And I was like, oh, you've never seen that, you know? I didn't know what tetherball was. I was a bilingual resource teacher in Providence, and they were playing tetherball, and I didn't see the card, I was holding it up. They were practicing something. The kids are like, what is that? And I looked at it. I had never seen a tetherball before. And I'm from New York, I had never seen it. But, you know, that happens over and over and over again. So they need experiences, and bring in the zoo, bring in the aquarium people, bring in, if you can find funding and help us, that's where we need the help. We need to go and have field days at parks, not in our parking lot. Mr. Kirk Hamill did a phenomenal job last Wednesday, phenomenal. Amazing phys ed teacher. We did it in our gym in our parking lot, and he made it magical. But really, we should be doing it in a field. That's where they should be playing field day. All the schools, not just mine, all of them. But we don't have money to bus 400 kids, 420 kids. But that should be one day a year where they go and play outside and have a barbecue. We did it once at El Risk, and it was amazing. So I'm talking as a teacher that adores these children. I wouldn't work anywhere else, and this is where I'm going to retire from in a couple of years. This is where I'm going to leave, and these kids are amazing. And the parents, the families, they work so hard. And the mayor said something about community outreach and reaching out to the parents. Well, if you're going to do that and you're going to invite them to things, then you better offer morning, afternoon, and night, because they work all different shifts. Mm-hmm. We reach out to parents, all the schools do, but we can't meet the needs of all the parents. Unfortunately, we try. We have a calling system that calls, but if you have 4 kids in the system and everybody's calling, they block the number. I don't blame them, really, because they're getting lots of phone calls of the same item. There's an event somewhere. And so we're all calling, and then they block us. So we do have a calling system trying to reach parents. You know, it's hard. We're trying to, and they're working so hard. They're tired. They're tired. You know, when I grew up, my parents are Mexican. My mom was the at-home mom. but she took care of us. My dad worked. It was the job school to take care of us with our education. You know, she put the responsibility on them. She was still learning English. She didn't know any English. It was their job to teach us. Sometimes that's kind of the way our parents come in. It's like, you teach my child. You are in charge for 6 hours. You help me. Yeah, I look at the whole child. I look at the whole child. I'm not just teaching one part for RICAS or for Access. I'm teaching the whole child. I am a social worker, a nurse, a mother, a teacher. I am everything in 6 hours for all my children. And so you are not just dealing with one student. You're looking at our preschooler, I was gonna say my preschoolers, they're not even mine. I will get them, the preschoolers all the way to those 12th graders graduated. The high schoolers graduated, I guess, already last week or something.
Correct.
Some of my students had siblings there, and the local 3rd grader came up and was so excited his brother graduated. I said, that's gonna be you. He's like, what? I go, yeah, that's gonna be you. He just didn't really hit him that he would be there someday. You know, we need to do more of bringing elementary students to colleges, but who's gonna pay for those buses? Let's take them on more field trips to colleges. Why not? I've been saying that since I started here 26 years ago. Why aren't we using all these universities around us? There's so many, so many. When my daughter was 29, when she was 16, I joined some committee to work with Rick. I went to meetings at night, and I was thinking of it when you said, wasn't with my children. I missed my daughter's 16th birthday. She's on St. Patrick's Day. They went to a St. Patrick's Day parade in Newport. I was at Rhode Island College brainstorming, doing the fishbowl, the charts on the wall. What are we gonna do to help the kids in Central Falls? And I said, you've got music students, have them come and teach the kids music in an after-school club. You have dancers, have them teach dance. You have phys ed teachers, have them play sports with our kids after school. I was so excited. I had my master's from Rick. Let's do this. I sacrificed, as you have and many people have, and we presented, they took our charts down, they took pictures, they rolled up those posters, they said, we will get back to you. Never heard from them again. A year of meetings. I met on a Saturday. Come on. Do I want to volunteer again? Do teachers want to volunteer again? No. And I love collaboration. I love working as a team. I'm your girl. I'm like the person that wants to be on everything. I didn't volunteer for like a year after that. I was hurt. I was angry because I gave up family time. So, you know, you want people on board, they will sign up. But don't ask us to sign up and then everything kind of just dissipates and floats away. So that's my 2 cents as a educator that's been doing it since I was 25, for a long time. You have valuable assets here. They're amazing. And my mother met my husband and she said, I'm giving you my jewelry. And she meant to say my jewel. I'm giving you my jewelry. You know, I'm giving you my jewelry. And they are super precious. So if I can help you in any way, as she said, I would be more than happy to. But I think you've got it. We've got a nice eclectic group. And I know you have the best interests of the children, and I appreciate you. Thank you for sacrificing your time. I really do appreciate that. And I know I've met you a long time ago. And I appreciate you still hanging on.
Yeah.
And not giving up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha. Really appreciate your words.
That was very eloquent.
Oh, please, not like you.
I have to say that, like, being the teacher, the former teacher here, like, everything you said, it was like my heart, and I'm like, this is what I mean. If you talk to all the teachers here, like, this is what you get from them. And even though, like, I'll never take off, like, my teacher hat, like, just like you said, like, this community, it's, like, so buried in my soul that, like, even, I still consider myself a Central Falls teacher. But, like, what you said about the kids and the students, and they're your, like when you say my kids, they are your kids.
Yeah.
But, so as a teacher, I didn't really have, you could make suggestions, you could talk to your principal about maybe the things that you needed, you could go to a board meeting. As, this is a question, as an MLL director, do you have more?
Oh, I'm an MLS specialist, I'm not a
Oh,
director.
specialist, well,
Within my
specialist.
building, in my building,
Okay.
yes.
But even,
So my title is a multilingual learner MLL, that's like the acronym specialist, meaning that I'm not a classroom teacher anymore, I was for many years. I pull out small groups of children across the whole building, kindergarten through grade 5, and they need additional support to help them eventually pass the access test, because that's the test that we give. So
And where's this building?
mine is veteran school. Yeah.
What she's describing actually is a teaching and pedagogical model that was developed during the time of my old school board. And so that's a great example of looking at your student body, what some of the needs and opportunities are, and even creating environments where there's a pilot in a particular school and then it morphs into other schools. There may be certifications or maybe professional development that's needed to get other educators perhaps to the same level. There may be new positions that need to be created as a result. So that's a really good example.
That's my next question
for
Marta.
I just
No, go
want,
ahead.
because you said specialist, and when I think specialist, it kind of is a synonym to an expert, one would say. So how much input do you have over funding? Where the money, so if you're the specialist expert in that K through 5 area, and you're saying like access to the zoo, access to the aquarium, access to all of these buses, because at the end of the day, that will enrich the students, that will support their academic growth. You don't have say in the
Zero.
as budget.
That's the fast and quick answer, 0. No, I am not an administrator, I am not a director, I am part of the teachers union, I'm actually a union rep as well. And so I do not have any authority to address anything with finances, and especially I'm not a classroom teacher either. So I deal with so many children across the board that I have nothing to do with that. But, for example, the 5th grade went to the local library today, and I don't know why, but they went to the local library, and a fourth grade boy told a friend of mine, a colleague, the 5th grade went to the library, and she said, yes, I understand that they did, and he went, that's the field trip? And she goes, well, I don't know if it was really a field trip, and she's like, but they did go, he goes, oh, well, when I go to 5th grade, is that the only field trip I'm gonna go on? But 4th grade, as far as I know, didn't go on any. So, 3rd grade went to the aquarium, and I don't know if they went to.
But even like all the stuff that you were saying about like the outside partnership and any of those things that are established, I know for teachers that access is limited, but I didn't know as a director or an expert if you had more of a direct kind of way to input like these things are.
But like my director, my assistant director, Sarah Correa, and Tiffany Beltram, she's the director of the MLL program. I don't think they have anything to do with that because they have a budget. So, and their budget is for like the district. So for all the MLL supplies and needs, curriculum materials, like they have to fund all of that. So I don't know where.
So they're not told, like, there's no opportunity to say, this year we need X amount because we want to add A, B, C.
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to talk to finance for that, yeah.
But they don't ask you.
No,
That's what I'm saying. At the
I'm not
elementary,
asked,
like, what do you need so that way?
No, I get a budget, I get a small budget. Every classroom teacher gets $250 to spend, which we're really lucky because other school districts, the teachers don't get anything. Year, $250 for the year. For the year. Other districts, the teachers don't get anything. So even though $250 in the you know how much pens cost and notebooks.
Inflation right now.
Me, I have a lot, so 250 is, yeah.
It's not even a dollar.
Well, notebooks, if you, we just saw on WB Mason, was it $4.95 a notebook, but we had to look for others.
It's so
But,
expensive.
you know,
Don't spend.
but, you know, so but
Yeah.
it's 250, but we're really lucky because I found out that I have colleagues, friends in other districts that don't get anything. So,
We can always get donations and look out for
You can,
donations,
you can
right?
also, well, I don't want to prolong this because this is not on the agenda.
I know,
I know.
It's hard not to.
no, but that's like,
Your budget.
Yeah.
Your budget.
Yeah, we,
We're
You
gonna,
yeah,
yes,
You study your budget.
I do have a question, Mark.
yes.
What can we do? But that one, I want you to answer the last. What do you think those parents needs and the kids of those parents? More those parents that they can go off the phone because they're tired. What those kids need, and what do you think the parents need?
it's not that they're tired, it's just that they get so many phone calls from different
Yeah.
schools. If they have more than one child, they block it because it's just too many calls.
But what do you think their kids needs?
That's a loaded question. I mean,
Those are kids that they're probably going through,
No,
maybe they need more help than what they have.
No, they're getting
or-
calls, basic district calls of things that are happening in the district. And if it's all, like parent conferences are happening, so all the schools are calling. Or
I see.
an event's happening, so all the schools are calling. Or there's a snowstorm is coming, all the schools are calling.
Yes, yes.
So, or they disconnect their phone, they can't afford to pay it. So now we don't have that number anymore. It's life, it's really life, you know? So we have to take into account and give them grace. Because we don't know their circumstances. I don't walk in their shoes, right? So I can't tell you every parent's story. Every parent has a different story.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. But as a district, and when you spoke about go out and examine and look into the country and see what other states are doing and districts, find one as close as this one because we're very unique. We're
Yes.
small. We should be a model for MLL and special education, and we almost were when we worked with Johnson and Wales. When I was an inclusion teacher, I was a true inclusion classroom, and Johnson and Wales came in and worked with me, and I had student teachers for 7 years or something. We were a true inclusion building, and they came in and drove us a lot. And they didn't even know who my special ed students were because we did it, not that I was teacher of the year, but we worked, we were a good model. And then they cut funding and they got rid of our model and I couldn't have a special ed teacher full time. And then everything kind of fell apart because it was due to money. We remember that. Everything fell apart.
I want to say thank you to you because one of my kids were in those classes.
It was a great model.
Yes, it was.
And I was sad when they broke up the teams. It was great teams and it was disappointing because it's never gone back. Now your special educators stretched out into a lot of classrooms and overworked. And they don't get paid enough, to be honest with you. So, but that's for another day. That's where you pull out the
another-
tequila bottle. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you for your patience.
No.
Yes, there's kids.
Have a good night.
Thank
you so much. I
Good
appreciate
night.
Good night,
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna go back briefly to the schedule for the year. We had the motion to just table it for now, or was it a motion to postpone it?
I would make I wanna make a recommendation as your whatever it is that I am.
Administrative trainer.
Whatever I am.
Don't get the questions too long.
No, I would recommend at a minimum that you pick a date for the August meeting. Because if you're not gonna approve all of these dates now, then I would recommend at a minimum you approve the August date because people are gonna disperse, right, for the summer, and I don't want people's summer schedules to get so crazy and then we don't have a quorum, and then we get into a weird thing.
Oh, we
Also-
won't have a meeting on July, right?
Right.
Right, so we're skipping July. So the other thing you could potentially do is make a motion, if there's still a thing about moving CalCut up or swapping CalCut earlier, which I heard,
Approve the
you
dates.
could approve the dates
And
and direct me to work with the superintendent to adjust these so CalCut is bumped up, for instance, or something like that. Or you could just approve the dates and say that the location will be to be determined. So those are some possible motions. Or you could just approve it as it is, so.
I would like to make a motion and to approve the dates. Not that, and maybe, and potentially just look at the locations. Not that they're bad, but to see if there's another option. To see if there could be a proposal for another option, but the dates are fine.
Can I get a second?
Does everyone understand that motion first? Do you want to just repeat?
Yes, so can I get a second for the motion that Jordana put out, which is to accept the dates while we can verify if the school, or the actual locations of the meetings are good, or if we can work on some of the locations.
So
Can I
that
get
needs
a-
a second.
can I get a second? Okay, I have a second on that. Any discussion, any further discussion on that? Take a vote, all in favor? All opposed?
I just don't see why we should change this. So,
So before
Oh, we have to
voting,
vote,
we should
so we have
discuss.
to
It's okay.
vote. So, once we vote,
Oh,
we'll go
yeah.
back to discuss,
So
or
for, did
we
you already
have
know?
three, yep, 3-1,
Once you vote, you don't have to go back to discussion.
so we just go.
It just passes 3-1.
The motion passes. Motion passes to accept the dates and to take a further look at the locations.
Sorry.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So, we're not okay, so it's fine, don't worry, the disagreement.
All right.
Well, you can discuss, under discussion, you can say why you're against it, but once the vote's cast, you're either for or against, and that's it.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. I can
Gotta
go
be
try to
some-
find, you know what, there's a water bubbler thing right there, and I can find some cups. Why don't I do it, well,
All right, so the next item
I don't wanna get up.
on the agenda.
So I'll wait.
The next item under new business is the information item. Just for a little background, Jordana had reached out to us during the week just regarding something she wanted to bring to light to the rest of the board members for make it public, so I'll let her explain.
So a few weeks ago, I had started getting contacted by a bunch of teachers in the district in regards to the superintendent had sent them an email on a Friday afternoon telling them that they had to work an additional 2 hours every Thursday for the rest of the school year to make up for the snow days, the emergency, this 2 state of emergency days on February 23rd and 24th. And they were upset. So subsequently, those days were waived by the state. It was taken to a vote at the Department of Education, the Council of Secondary Education, elementary, secondary. They voted and they approved that these 2 days be waived so that the school year would go from 180 instructional days to 178 instructional days statewide. So what teachers were concerned about, so in the Central Falls Teachers Union contract, they have to work 185 days a calendar. So they don't work the 180 days, they work 185 because there are 5 non-instructional days that they need to work contractually. 2 of those days are for parent-teacher conferences. So in other districts, they might have the day off, like teachers won't go in, they'll just come in the afternoon or the evening to do their time for parent-teacher conferences. where in Central Falls, to make up those for those 2 days that are 2 of the 5 days, they come in the morning, they do a half day, which is considered a full day of school, and then they stay and they do parent-teacher conferences. So sometimes it's like a 10, 12-hour day for the teachers, which makes up the 2 days. So they have 2 of those days. They have an orientation before they start school, so that's day 3. And then day 4 and 5 of the 5 non-instructional days are professional development days throughout the year. So on June 22nd, when it's the last day of school for students in Central Falls, the 5 days for teachers would have been completed, those 5 non-instructional days. All right, so remember their contract is 180 instructional, 5 non-instructional. At the end of the school year, those 5 non-instructional days would have been completed. The superintendent decided that they did in fact need to work the 2 instructional days that were waived by the state. So teachers were upset about it because it was 2 hours on a Thursday. If they did not attend, they would either get their paid off or they would have to use sick time if they weren't going to stay for those 2 hours. So long story short, I really didn't know how to handle this because I knew we weren't actually in control, governance. I asked Sarah for her advice. She told me to talk to the union president and then follow up with the superintendent directly. So I spoke to the union president. He informed me that yes, in fact, the district the superintendent had told him that RIDE was making them do the full 185 days. That they had no choice. They could either stay, so school ends on the 22nd, they could either come in the 23rd and the 24th, or they could do these additional hours at the end of every Thursday. He opted for that. Whether, I don't know how that was approved, if union members voted, I don't know, but that is what they decided to do. But he was told that RIDE mandated that. So I was very, I told him that I was gonna speak to the superintendent, because I really just wanted to understand this decision, because there were so many people that were upset, whether they had childcare issues. So now, like, you have kids, you're being told you have to stay 2 hours after you have to work, and if you don't stay, either your pay is gonna get docked, or you have to use sick time. And just to understand it, because the board, so they then went back at the April Central Falls Board of Trustees meeting, and the minutes are in here, that the superintendent proposed to our Board of Trustees that they would move the instructional, I think it says, because she said it specifically, it says the superintendent, it's D in the Board of Trustee minutes. The superintendent presented a proposal to reduce instructional days from 180 to 178 due to the impact of Winter Storm Hernando on February 23rd and 24th. So the Central Falls Board of Trustee in April unanimously passed this. They agreed that there was going to be 2 less instructional days for the district. And so teachers were obviously upset because they had contractually done their professional development, non-instructional, and now they were being made to do an additional 2 days of it when it was already waived by the state and the superintendent ultimately.
I feel that, I'm sorry, and what is the point?
The point was that teachers were upset, they can't talk to me so I felt the obligation.
That happened right now?
And as I looked, a couple weeks ago,
okay.
this is all happening current, and I felt in an effort, and like I explained to Sarah, like, regardless if we had no control of a board, I felt that in an effort to go by what our values and how we want people to view us as, like, we might not be able to get an answer, we might not be able to change anything, but we're at least gonna ask and try to find out the information for you to understand it. Long story short, I still don't understand it. She provided me nothing. When I spoke to her, She said that I was the first person to approach it to her this way. She didn't interpret like the law and what like the Department of Ed said. And that she was gonna look and ask legal counsel, her attorney, she was gonna talk to RIDE, and she was gonna talk to the Board of Trustees. She emailed me back and pretty much said, I talked to legal counsel, we're still gonna go ahead with making the teachers do this time. I did speak to Charles, as the lawyer, as one of our lawyers. And he said, unfortunately, obviously, there's nothing we could do, and actually, the union would have had that they really shouldn't have had to do this.
So my understanding is that statewide, they waived out 2 days out of the 180, which became 178, but they mandated just Central Falls to do.
RIDE didn't mandate it, so this has nothing to, from what I understand and what I've been told, Stephanie told the union, Dr. Toledo told the union that RIDE was mandating it, and it wasn't mandated by RIDE.
Oh. Also, she was lying.
Well, I mean, I don't know. She said the way she was interpreting it was that.
If he wants to do that, then they with the.
We can't sugarcoat things, guys.
Well, I don't wanna say that because she expressed to me that she interpreted it differently, what RIDE had said, but I put all of the information in here that said exactly what the K through 12 council voted on.
Do you agree that was a misunderstanding, but it caused a major thing? Because I totally understand, they have to look for daycare for their kids and they have to take a PTO. Of course, this is a storm, we don't want to go through all.
No, but the kids are not going in. This is just
Development.
about the teachers.
Yes, so she
I
gave
don't
the
know
2
kids,
days.
I said that teachers have to look for their care, for their own kids.
Yes. I know what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So I think that,
I'm just gonna do a point of order, just because we're also learning about the democratic rules. So one cool thing you can do in the democratic rules, this is an information item you're on, and so that's good, so you're not trying to vote, so. And one thing what's happening now is you guys are having what I would call an informal discussion, which under the democratic rules, you're allowed to have, which is exciting. However, you have to motion the group into it, or you have to suggest, I would entertain a motion for an informal discussion, and then typically you wanna put a time frame on it, because informal discussions could potentially go all night, right?
Yeah.
So, but you have to get a motion to go into an informal discussion, and then you need a second on that, and then you vote to go into an informal discussion. And whoever motions your way into that would say, I make a motion to go into an informal discussion for the next 5 minutes on this, right? And then you can do the thing you've just been doing.
Is there an interest in going into an informal? Any interest in making a motion going into informal?
sure.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's what I wanted to say. I make a motion to go into an informal conversation about.
For approximately?
We talk a lot.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Do I have a second?
I said,
And just
All right,
say
all in
everyone's
favor?
here.
Okay, so,
All right, the motion carries.
Okay, you're now in an informal discussion, okay.
3 minutes.
so I believe that maybe when you reached out, we, as a incoming board, we don't have that privilege, or we don't have the authority. I believe that's why there wasn't a direct answer, but once we become a board, there will always be, we will always demand a direct answer. Okay, why did you make that decision? And make sure that there's always clarity on anything that's stated. And if there isn't, then make sure we have it.
I agree, especially with an answer that we can bring to whoever's. I would err on the side of caution as far as not micromanaging, because our role is not to interfere with the day-to-day actions of what the superintendent is doing. I mean, we learned that with Dr. Aiken, who was teaching us that. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, if we have people that are coming to us with, we have to give them answers, so we need to be able to provide those answers for them.
And just like if it was something like you said, if it was like a day-to-day something and like you're just mad or like upset about it, but I called friends that worked in multiple districts across the state, no one else is doing it. Like they're done on the 178th school day of school, students and teachers.
I'm just surprised the union didn't catch that.
But I don't know how they were presenting it, so I wasn't privy to that conversation, so I don't know, but if you look, this is the email I sent to her, it was a follow-up, and it literally lists all the points that I made to her, and then all of this is like the stuff that I attached for her to reference back to, like, this is why I'm asking, these are the documents I use, so you can look through it to see.
I got two questions. First, don't the teachers have, how you call it, I need the interpreter. ¿Cómo se dice cuando uno, que los maestros no tienen ¿cómo se llama esta gente que los defiende a ellos? Unión.
They do have a union.
Se llama unión, ¿verdad?
Unión, sí.
Okay. ¿Dónde
Sindicato en español.
Unión o
Sindicato.
Okay, ¿dónde have the union and
Sindicato.
Yeah. That they fight for them, right? Yeah. So why you didn't fight for them? Is there right?
So, from what I spoke to the union president, and he said that the superintendent said that they didn't have an option. That the Department of Ed was told him that even though we waived this, Central Falls teachers still have to make up these 2 days. But I couldn't find it anywhere. I looked and I tried to look up the laws, I tried to look up minutes.
In this package, you couldn't find it.
Yeah, I know, I looked online, I was like looking up everywhere to see, and that's why I wrote to her, like, is there something I'm missing? Because this will help me later on when faced with these decisions, and it's not anywhere.
And the other thing
Perfect timing.
is, this package, we're gonna discuss it. Yeah, we're gonna discuss this one by one.
Or which one?
No, that was notes.
Oh, that is,
Those are just her notes.
These are just my notes, these are.
We printed them for your information, she just wanted to present this para darnos la información de lo que pasó.
Okay, so yo tengo otra moción porque hay algo que a mí no me parece.
Eso no es de la agenda de nosotros.
These are the board of trustees.
Yeah.
This is from the Department of Ed, and this is.
But this is something that the superintendent said, right? Inform the board that no homeschool applications were submitted in time for consideration.
All right.
Yeah, that's not us. All right, so we have,
Okay,
I make a motion to exit.
yeah, well, yeah, you can just close the informal discussion.
we're closed with the informal
Okay.
discussion.
Great.
We don't have anybody signed up for public comment.
Oh, wait, yes, that's correct. I have one legislative update under old business.
Under old business, going to, go ahead.
Okay, it'll be quick. Legislative update, I just want to make sure, first of all, you guys know the budget.
Thank you.
The returns, you guys getting control of the district was in the budget that passed out of the House on last Friday, which is really big, because it can't really, it's before the governor. He has 6 days from last Friday until this Friday, basically, to veto, but he would have to veto the entire, the whole state budget, and he's not gonna do that. It's an election year, but also he's supportive of this. So basically, the upshot is, control is definitely coming back. We're not anymore in the period of like, we don't know if it will or not. Okay. The other thing I just wanna highlight for you guys is the way that the legislation is written into the budget that passed says it's effective upon passage. So, all the way along, we've been saying July 1. However, you actually will assume control once we pass this period where the governor could veto it. So the governor is gonna sign the budget, it could happen by the end of this week, or it could happen by the 18th of June as the latest. And then you guys will officially be the board of record for the school district. So I wanted to say that to you out loud, because that's new information that we got. And also related to that, we're gonna do this event on June 22nd, which I reached out to each of you about. I'm trying to move it to 4:30 p.m., but we just wanted to do a symbolic, like, signing of a kind of proclamation or something by the mayor with you guys present to note that the transfer is happening. Okay, so
That means that the current Central Falls School Board will
dissolve,
dissolve
yes,
and we will officially enter as.
exactly.
June
Part of the reason I raised that with this question here is like you might have the ability to make more official decisions before July 1. And it could happen as soon as June 18th, but then Juneteenth is the 19th, so everything's shut down, and then the 22nd is the next Monday. So just to know, I just mostly want you guys to know that. And then on that note, the current Board of Trustees has planned to have their last official meeting on June 22nd. They may not realize that they may not have power anymore, like we may have passed that date. So I'm making sure they know that, but anyway, this is like all part of the excitement of the transition. But we're also preparing.
The meeting and just sit at there.
Right, I know, and we're preparing little kind of plaques for them to thank them for their service, because they have put in a lot of time and hours, whatever, and we're gonna give them to them sometime on or around the 22nd, so. That's just the mayor and I are really trying to do a thing about that to thank them, but,
That would be here.
yes. Well, their meeting is usually at Calcut, but all of our things will be here on the 22nd.
Now, is there gonna be like an exchange of like information between
Yeah.
them and will it go through Thomas as being?
No, it's you. So this is part of my role for the city. Yeah, actually, we have a meeting, next Tuesday. Dorian, Carla, and Thomas will be there as part of this board, the executive committee, on the 16th, at 1:00, I believe, double check. But it'll be the three of them for this board, plus me and Matt for the city solicitor, and myself, plus Deputy Commissioner Eccleston for the state, and the superintendent, and we invited Andrew Gramson, who's the current board chair, but he's unavailable, and he said to go ahead without us. The purpose of that meeting, which I'm creating an agenda for, and it's kind of in my responsibility to facilitate, is to talk through like a plan for, not just for right now, but like through the summer, there's a bunch of transitional pieces of work we need to do. To just make sure, for example, like the city clerk knows how the district approaches clerking the school board meetings, and that we get clear about who's doing what, and like there's no confusion about that, right? And same with, we're gonna bring together like the finance director from the city and the finance director for the district, et cetera. So that's all part of my job. You don't have to like I have that.
So they will go, they will get the information, and they bring us the information.
I will coordinate kind of that bigger like system transition process. And then I will bring to you guys what the recommendations are, if there's any action needed. Some of it is just back office function stuff that you actually don't need to know. It's like the superintendent and I need to work through.
That would be, that would be June 22nd, the school board, and the date that you said, can you repeat that date?
So June 22nd is really the main thing you need to know, like if between I'm trying to change it to 4:30. June 22nd here, and I'll give you a calendar invite, and that's for the kind of ceremony of taking.
You'll send the calendar invite.
Yeah, I'll send a calendar invite, and I'll text you all and do my badgering thing that I do. And then there's a subgroup of us that are doing this transition steering committee that not everyone has to be at. And that was a recommendation of the Joint Study Commission, not to make anything any more confusing, but one of their recommendations was that we have this transition steering committee, and they kind of listed out the people who should be at it, and so that's who's reflected in that group.
But what about stuff that, like record, will that include any executive session, anything that was discussed that we should know about going into? They will give us.
I don't think that's gonna happen at that meeting, but once we get official authority, we can request all that information be
who do we request, like, where is that stuff stored? Like, who do we
That's what
request?
we're gonna figure out on
Okay.
the 16th. So, because we're in a kind of a big transition, right, and it's unusual, in a typical school district, a typical school board would ask that stuff directly to the superintendent through the chair. Okay. However, this isn't a typical situation, right? And so this transition steering committee is gonna come up with some recommendations, and they might include that me and the superintendent, for example, are kind of co-accountable to you guys for making sure that all, through this transition period, that you guys have access to all the things you need. But I think, just because of how much work it is to do this transition, like that's a recommendation that I'm gonna offer the group, that I really feel like. Also, we have an opportunity to think about how to have some efficiencies between back office functions, between the city and the district, since it's under local control now. So if you think about, like, the city has a whole Department of Public Works, the school department has an operations guy and a facilities guy, right? But it could be that our public works people start to have more oversight over that, since the schools are owned by the city and they've been maintained by the district, but now under local control. Maybe there's some efficiencies, but maybe there's also some ways that, like, there's higher accountability also to the community to, like, have those buildings attended to in the way that this community wants. That's just one example. But there's also, like, HR systems, finance systems, and just thinking about, like, there are probably places in a city of this size where we don't need to necessarily duplicate all of those things, like have a whole big team and office over here and another one over here, you know what I mean? Or at least they should collaborate and be like, well, how are you approaching this, system? So anyway, there's a bunch of work to do. That's my job, and that's why the city is keeping me on for the, it's like supporting you and doing all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that. Like, you have jobs. You already have jobs. So I'm just telling you about my fascinating job. So don't walk away feeling like you have to do my job, but
You said HR with contracts and all of that stuff, like.
you will get access to every single thing. And I think after this transition meeting, we're gonna make it really clear, like, how that flows, and I'm gonna make myself available on behalf of the mayor and the city to, like, facilitate a lot of that, because I think it's gonna be a lot on you otherwise, and maybe that's fine. But anyway,
So the date for the signing for us, simulation, which one, when it is, I'm sorry.
the 22nd.
June 22nd is the same day? Oh, I thought you
That's
said this
all
is
you
the
really
day.
need to know about is the 22nd at hopefully 4:30 here.
Yeah, okay.
4:30, yeah. Everything else was kind of just an information. Well, Lysandra just asked right before this meeting if we could switch it to 4:30, so I'm checking with the mayor, because does that work for you, or is it?
That's fine.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
I'm in there.
I know, yeah, it's true.
I'll bring
Okay.
you there.
Before anyone leaves, you have to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yes, so.
If I may,
Oh, yeah.
we skip items A, B, remaining dates for engagement with school.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Are we tabling those?
I think we could table those.
Yes, we can table those.
Yes.
The June 22nd was kind of,
So I'll probably need a motion for tabling for those two items.
Oh, yeah.
You can
Can we get a motion
you can do it, if I may, we can do it collectively, or you can go item to item.
We could do it collectively, that'd be great. So it was B, and which one?
A,
A, B.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to table, item A and B on the agenda?
I make a motion.
Can we get a motion?
And a second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes.
okay, see, you guys are getting good.
Next item is adjournment. Ian, that is,
I make a motion.
Skip public comment.
we actually checked on it, but, there was nobody signed up for public comment.
No.
All right, so we'll move on to the next item. And seeing that there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Again, all in favor?
Aye.
Yay!
One opposed?
Good job, you guys.
Pressure of the lights.